How about now?
I can hear you great, Joe.
Okay, thank you. And I'm talking away. I'm sure you can imagine. Like,
What were you talking about?
oh, I just had this whole conversation with myself, and I thought it was you. So, well, the first thing I said was, is I open up the room and I see everybody rush in. My comment to you was, "Hey, I think this clubhouse thing's working out. I can see people, standing by, ready to join in and talk to us and listen to what we have to say today, and that makes me so happy." And then the second thing I was going to say was I was excited to, you know, leak a little bit about what our topic is today. About, are you calling it how to get started in real estate? I mean, just in general, is that where you're thinking, Jack? What
Yeah,
we're
like, what to do to get started in real estate and honestly, what not to do.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Very,
So
very
before,
qualified to talk about how to do buy and sell real estate incorrectly.
yes, how to fail, how to spend too much money and a lot of time, a lot of energy, and not have a lot to show for it. So, because we've been there, done that. And I know for a lot of you, that is why you're here. You want to learn from our mistakes, and I would too. I've often said this, that God, I wish I had a us when I was first getting into this. I had you. You know what? That's where I'm really lucky. I had you, Jack, but there were some things that I had to figure out and perfect. And you had nobody. And so, boy, does that say a lot. You just really figured this out. So before we dive in and explain more of what I'm talking about, I'm just going to say I'm Jill DeWitt, and this is my partner, Stephen Jack Butala, and we are Land Academy. We're also House Academy, but especially right now with the competition out there, we are really focused on land. And that is, let's just be honest, that's my favorite thing. I just love it. Steven started doing deals in the 90s, as I mentioned. He figured out a way to find deals directly from sellers and get these amazing prices on the buy side, so you can't lose on the sell side. That's the whole gist of this. We've got now, I came along in 2009 roughly, and then combined, we're probably way over 16,000 deals, but I'll just leave it at 16,000 for now. That's just easier. I'm not going to go back and do the math, which we did back in the day when we launched Land Academy, which is so darn funny. We were bragging about how many deals we did, and people are like, "Oh, come on, really?" So Jack had a link to an Excel file spreadsheet that showed all these transactions, the buy and the sell and the dates, the APN, and people started to like dig in and like analyze it. And they would ask us all these questions about a deal from 2011. And I'm like, we're not going to talk about, what? Come on. And there was like, why did you not exactly double your money here? And then this one, you made 3 times as much. And I'm like, okay, it got to be too much. So we pulled it down, but we have done that much volume. So that's why Jack and I lovingly can say we've made mistakes and we've made a lot of triumphs, and that's why we're here. And we're here to help you and share it with you, all in the effort to a lot of this is Land Academy is giving back for us. We've been doing just fine for a long time. And I love, and Jack especially loves teaching and helping other people and helping them put food on their tables. And then sometimes we all do some wonderful deals together. So it works out great. Right?
So here's what happens. You get the bright idea that you want to buy and sell real estate, probably because you're frustrated with whatever's going on in your job, which I understand. And we immediately, all of us, think back to a time, or we look at our current situation, and we think it's a great idea to buy a house and rent it out. Why? Because we've all been tenants in our life. We are currently a tenant. And you get to thinking, man, I'm writing this check every month. I'm really just to be allowed to live here. And I called my landlord about the leaky sink 10 times. He doesn't call me back. I want to be a landlord. I want to be the guy that gets the $1,500 a month or whatever it ends up being. and basically has to do nothing. In fact, maybe you probably have never met the person. And so we all start down that path of buying a house, maybe even cleaning it up or fixing it up and renting it out. And the math quite simply doesn't work. You don't make any money buying and selling, making buying a piece of property and selling it. You don't make any money buying a piece of property and renting it out. You can make a little bit of triage if you're lucky, and you finance it or don't finance it. You're lucky if you finance it to make any money at all on a cash flow basis. You only really make money in that situation if you're in environments, in my opinion, like California, where properties just seemingly ever go up in value. So you really make the money when you buy it and you sell it. When you buy it, who makes money on real estate? The real estate agent on the buy and the sell side, the escrow agent on the buy and the sell side, the financing company, the bank, the appraiser, and there's all kinds of people making money on your real estate deal except you. And so I see so many people in places like Bigger Pockets make this mistake. If you want to make money as a landlord, here's what you do. You go and send out mail to huge apartment building owners, 100 units or more. You go raise capital to get equity financing. Maybe you get some debt. So you've got debt and equity. You don't really have to come up with a lot of money out of your pocket, if any. You take 5 or 10% ownership for putting the deal together. And then you have, obviously, somebody puts a property manager in place. Maybe you have an equity partner who can help you do that. And then after a couple of years of raising rent, you resell it. That's how you make money in commercial real estate. It doesn't have to be an apartment building. It could be all types of strip malls, industrial property. There's almost endless commercial types of property to make money. You improve the property whether you raise rents, so now you're improving the capitalization rate, or you improve the physical situation of the property, so you can command more rent. Jill and I lived across the street in California to an institutional apartment building. The property sold. The new company came in, hired a new management company, and they simply allowed pets. That's all only change that they made.
Yeah.
And they raised rents and filled it up and raised rents because of it, because they got a new different type of tenant and resold it.
Yeah. So
what's the common theme here? Well, you make money when you buy and you sell it. You don't necessarily make very much money while you're owning it. In fact, in most cases, or all cases for us, it's a massive headache.
Yeah. Well, we
so
talked
why not
about
just cut to the chase?
Some numbers, yes. The traditional way, what everybody thinks like it's, I always, for some reason, it's like a college thing. Here's what I always hear. I'm a college student. I should buy a house, rent it out to my roommates, right? And then I get to live here rent free. That's even, I get it, but there's so many other things you could be doing with your money that Jack's talking about. And when we were talking about that we recorded our shows for next week and the one that's going to air on Thursday, man, if you're lucky and you buy something and you rent out a bunch of rooms, right? And you paid for it, maybe you make a couple $1,000s a month. You probably put a couple $100,000 down or, paid cash for something, right? And how long is it going to take you to get your money back? That's my whole thing. There's things that you can do to make a little money, even selling properties on terms. Let's think, do I want $200 a month for the next 10 years? Or do I want 40 grand in 1 month and I can turn around and do that again? That's where I'm at.
Here's the math. You put $100,000 down on a house. You rent it out. If you're lucky, you're netting $1,000 after every month. So it takes 100 months to get that back.
Yeah.
That's, or you every time I've ever traveled down that path, I get into month 2 or 3 and I just sell it. I sell it for more. Mm-hmm. So the common theme here is, well, wait a minute. You make your money when you sell it. Why not cut to the chase and make it your life's work to buy property in an undervalued manner and then sell it for its current market value, which is what Land Academy is. I'm not selling anything here except common sense. Well, that's great, Jack.
Well, we're not selling it. That's free.
That's great, Jack. How do you buy undervalued real estate? Well, I spent 25 years trying to figure that out, 20 years. Mm-hmm. And I finally did figure it out after failing at buying undervalued real estate for a very long time. Right. You have to send out, or the way we do it anyway, is a ton of offers. For every 2,500 to 3,000 offers that you send out at 25 to 30% of the current market value of land, you're going to buy a property. And the goal is to buy it for 25% and sell it for 80% of its market value. Why 80? Why not 100%? Because you want to sell it fast.
Mm-hmm.
You want to push all that keep that equity in a forward motion.
Exactly.
And so that's the, Jill and I just did right before this Clubhouse thing, we record all of our podcasts right before, and I did a show about common sense and this. And so this is what we do.
Yeah.
I was telling Jill on the show like last week, I was in the bar and somebody asked me what I do for a living. And I said, I buy land and I sell it for more. And for some reason that frustrates the hell out of people.
Well, I just think people don't get it.
I
really think, seriously, Jack, they don't get it. No, that's the thing. So we were all like, okay, great. This all makes sense. I get it. But it's hard for people for some reason. I don't know why, to wrap their head around the situation that, wait a minute, I can buy it below, retail. Yeah. Like way below. I don't understand. How are you finding them? Well, there's a couple things, right? Number one is what we do with offers and data. That's a whole big process there. Two is it goes straight to the seller. We're not trolling the MLS and trying to talk. Could you imagine? Yeah, we're not trolling the MLS, calling agents, trying to talk them down. That would be a nightmare. I don't go there. I'm dealing directly with the sellers, and it's the situation. It's thousands of offers to find the situation and the right person, and everybody's winning. We just had a mailer that went out last week. I don't even remember. Was it 15,000 units that went out?
It was about 12,000, I think.
Okay, 12,000. 12,000 units of mail went out. So this is to give you an idea. This is what we're talking about. I'm not sending 200 offers. We're sending 12,000 offers in one county. And they went out on Friday. They hit on Wednesday. So we now have, since today's Thursday, we have a full week of whatever I'm trying to say, traction here. This is so interesting. And in this area too, I wouldn't have thought I'd go this way. But there's 3 of us tag teaming on the phones because it's that many. And the love that we're getting is staggering. Usually it's a whole bunch of, jump in a lake. Yeah, there's a few of those, but not nearly like what we thought. The percentage of we call it the hate. Jack lovingly calls it the hate that we get. That is so low right now. There's so many people. I'm like, I just got an email today. I have a guy in England I'm going to call tomorrow. He's got the property here, but he's in England. We can make this happen. So by the way, think about this one. Talk about convenience. This guy's in England. He doesn't care about this property. He loves that he got a letter from me, and we're arranging a time. I'm calling him at 9 a.m. my time because it's 5 p.m. his time, and we're going to put this deal together. They're happy to get rid of this. It's convenience, and there's all these other things that go into it. So please feel free to, by the way. I want this to be a dialogue with you. So please raise your hand and ask us a question. And heck, if you're in our world and you want to jump in and just tell us a story or something funny or great that's going on in your world, we'd love to hear it. So, oh, good. Here comes somebody. Hey, Melody. Get Melody up here.
Or if you work with your spouse and you think it's a bad idea.
Oh, sure. You could talk about that too. How are you, Melody?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Thank you.
I have a couple of questions for you guys, and I have a win to share.
Oh, yay.
One of my questions is, and I know this is it's on a lot of different factors, but do you guys ever 1031 exchange land for tax purposes?
So no, we don't. And here's why. It's a very, very, very good question. If you're asking 1031 questions, then you're making too much money, and I love it.
Yeah, we're going to hear about that in a second.
Yeah, that's what the CPA said. He's like, maybe you could start 1031ing stuff. I'm like, I don't know. It looks like a lot of paperwork, and yeah.
And what it forces, if it's a 1031 exchange, allows you to take the profit from a real estate deal, all of the profit, fill out a bunch of paperwork, and plow it into another like kind piece of property, and then buy and sell it and do it more and do it over and over and over again. So I call it 1031ing your way up to the amount that you want, and then paying all the taxes on it, and then it's your exit. You'd spend a lifetime doing that.
Yeah.
What I think is better, and what we've done in the past, Wade, this is before I met Jill. I got a real estate election from the IRS, so that now the money, they ask you a bunch of questions, and if you pass all the tests, and you can prove that this is what you do for a living, it's not just a side gig, and you have to do a certain number of deals a year and all that. They give you a real estate designation, and it may be called something else now, but the net effect of it is you get taxed as if it was ordinary income. So if I had a manufacturing facility and I made parts for the government or whatever, it's the same tax equivalent of buying and selling real estate. So I would ask your CPA if you can seek out that real estate designation.
Okay. That's a good idea. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can share a win with you guys
Yes.
that I just had.
Please.
I think I shared with you guys on one of the clubhouses maybe in May that I closed on my first like subdivision property. And so it's kind of interesting how it all lined up. But I used that money, like literally I wired that money, and then the next day I wired it out to buy another larger piece of property. And it was a little bit of a barrier for me because it was a lot of money. But I did it anyway. I felt like everything made sense. I was buying it right. I was buying it for about 35% market value, which was a little bit high, but there was not a lot of competition for sale. And I'm closing on that property. I've only owned it for 6 weeks, and I'm closing for that one on Friday. So more than doubling my cash. And the offer was awesome, and everyone wins.
So give me the first. So I want some numbers, Melody. So you bought for
Okay.
did you buy for 10, sold for 30, and then you bought for 30 and you're selling for something, or what's it?
So, for the one that I'm closing on now on Friday, so I bought that one for 32.5, and I listed it for 80,000, which I thought was about 80% of market value, and selling it for 70, all cash.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yay. That's
Yeah.
you already have that 70 spent.
And some more.
Good for you. Yay.
So, yeah. So it's definitely,
Congratulations.
thanks, and it's a lot to what you guys have to share, and all the knowledge you have to share, and so thank you so much.
I'm so
Congratulations.
glad.
That's a great story.
You're
That's how it's
giving me
supposed to work.
goosebumps,
That's a
Melody.
classic
'Cause
Land Academy deal.
yes, it's like we talk about it, and Melody, now you know it. It's like adding a zero. It's a little scary at first. Like, what the heck am I doing? And you're like, now that's your new bottom number. If I
Yeah,
don't
I
make
know.
30,000 a deal now, I'm not doing it.
Yeah. It's interesting how like you kind of have to work through just the mind part.
Mhm.
I think everyone's capable of a lot more of what everyone has, a lot of potential, but I don't know if everyone meets that because of just personal stuff and breaking through some of those barriers. It's all mind, I think. Like, you just start thinking, I'm like, well, I'm going to pay $32,000 for this property, but it's like, it's not like it's cryptocurrency or a stock. Like, there's inherent value to it. It's not going to go down to zero.
Exactly.
It's just not. So, yeah.
Exactly.
So, thank you.
It's interesting you bring that up because Joe and I were on the beach last year, and SpaceX, one of the Elon Musk companies, launched something, and we watched the whole thing because we were on the water. And it was a long time. The rocket got launched, and then it shed, like they always do, it shed the parts that it didn't need. And we watched it for like 4 or 5 hours, not 4 hours, but maybe 2 hours, Joe. Remember that piece falling? And the whole time I'm staring at this thing.
At first because I didn't remember it was happening, and I'm like, what the heck?
The whole time I'm staring at this part, falling to the earth. I had a light bulb moment. It's like, this is one guy that, this is one guy that for whatever reason did not have what Melody's referring to. No blockers. Like just, I can do anything with my life. I can launch stuff into space. And so, yeah, I think we're all way, way more capable of what we're actually doing.
Totally.
Thank you, Melody. That was
Thank you.
awesome. Hey, is it Deidre Lane? Did I say that right?
Yes, it is.
How are
Hello,
you?
Jill and Stephen. How are you guys doing?
Hi, good,
Good.
welcome.
How are you?
I haven't been on this for a long time, so I'm just glad that I had my phone when I saw that you guys were on. So I'll try and be as quick as possible. First, I wanted to say thank you so much for Land Academy.
Oh,
I'm not the one that's into land, Steve. And again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just glad that you guys exist because
oh.
my husband Lucas is the one that found you guys, and he is literally obsessed with land. Like he loves it. He spends time looking at maps, and so I'm just glad that he had this avenue. And so he started doing Land Academy, and he did a few great deals, and then one deal stumped him, and that's not why I'm here talking anyhow. But because of that deal, he kind of like cooled off. We have 3 young kids. They're now 6, 4, and 2. So we have a lot of responsibilities. But before the end of this year, he wants to do land full time, and I'm in complete support. But my question, and it's been on my mind, I guess, because I do most of our taxes, and I guess this could probably be a tax expert question. But like you said, the real estate market is so flooded, and everybody's buying houses and rental apartments. And I listened to a program recently, and they were talking about like tax write-offs, for real estate investors. And so my question was like, are there legitimate IRS tax benefits or write-offs for land investment? Like I said, we were so new to it. And when I was looking at the taxes, and I was like, wow, like, I don't want to give the IRS so much of this money. So are there, like, what do you have any advice on that? Or are there specific tax experts who deal with land?
No, that's a great question. We have lots of people with making too much money today, Jill, on the
Yes,
show.
we
It's
do.
good. Like I said to Melanie, my advice is to find a CPA who understands the real estate designation concept so that you're taxed as ordinary income instead of capital gains, because capital gains will smash you bad. So that's the first thing, and it's not going to be the first CPA you speak with. I wish there was a land CPA, because if there was, Jill and I would retain them to
Oh my
give
goodness.
talks.
That would be amazing.
Right?
We tried.
We've tried.
We've reached out to
Yes.
multiple people, and this is what they've said. This is a mentality. You talk about a mindset, Melody. This is the mentality of most CPAs. No, I have enough clients. I'm good. I'm not going to.
What the heck?
I'm all set. I make enough money. Who says that?
I know. I don't get that.
So that, and then I would start off by making sure that you're not commingling money. So get an LLC, open a bank account in the LLC's name, put some money in there, and start buying and selling land, and all the expenses that you're incurring, like, the mailer expense, any expense that's directly associated with that business comes out of there.
My computer.
And computers, Jill, everything that you can dream up.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you've got a legitimate revenue stream and expenses to offset that revenue stream. And you're only liable to pay, hopefully, if you get a designation, ordinary income tax rates on that. And so it's not real difficult. I think that you should do a lot of exploration in YouTube to find out, not just specifically with land, but how to run a business. Mm-hmm. This is a really popular topic right now, for some reason.
Because everybody's doing really well. We've been talking about that. Remember, we're still feeling this post-COVID thing where we're running out of inventory, I think. It's awesome.
And I'm also going to strongly suggest that your husband gives himself a salary.
Oh, yeah, that's
good. And
good.
so the money that you live in, and you a salary. So now you've got 2 salaries, whether you work there or not, that you can live off of. You're paying the IRS, employment taxes, just like you would if you worked for anybody else, a W-2 income. Mm-hmm. and you live on that, and it takes the stress out of, oh my God, I got to do a deal. It takes all the stress out of that. So all the money that is left over, you just plow it back into buying land. I'm also going to strongly suggest that, and I don't want to get too detailed here, that your company files a tax return on a cash basis, not an accrual basis. And your CPA should be able to help you out with that. Or you can do a YouTube search on that. That allows you to spread, if you buy a property in 1 year but sell it in the next year, it allows you to take that, the legitimate cost of goods sold expense, in the year that you need it most, and gives you a lot more control versus an accrual basis.
That's great. Thank you. I would love
Yep.
for you to go in detail, but I'll take I'll take these gems.
Yeah.
Good. You're welcome. Thank you very much. Go, Lucas, go. That's
Thank you.
awesome. Yay. You know
It's
how
hard
great
to
this
have
is
this
too?
talk,
Yeah.
especially in a public environment like this, because there's always a few people in the group that it's a tough concept for many people to digest, and it was for me in the beginning too, because we're all very used to having a job, and on January 1st we run to whoever's doing our taxes to get money back.
Right.
We have no control over it at all. It controls us.
Right.
You as a business owner, any business owner, but specifically land, have all the control. And if you make it your life's work to legitimately not pay taxes, then that's going to happen. And so it's real hard to have this conversation in a public environment, because there's always 2 or 3 people that are listening saying, these people are crooks. They're not paying their taxes.
No, not crooks. No, no, not at all. Not at all. Thank you for that information. Like I said, I'm on the I'm fully supporting him, letting him do the deals and stuff. We actually are like selling our house and moving just to make sure that we do this right. We're going in this completely. So I just wanted to
Oh,
touch your, get some input because he trusts you guys implicitly. This is what made him jump into wanting to do this full time. So I appreciate that very much.
I'm so
Well, if you're supporting
glad.
your husband like that and
Yep.
you're raising the kids, I think you should look at trying to clone yourself too.
Yes. Yep.
I'll look into that. Thank you so much, guys.
You're welcome. That's so great. That's the thing I was too. When everybody, you got to be on the same team. When I talk to people, some like, uh, please tell me, what does your partner think, because that's huge. They've got to be on the same page, because if not, it's not going to be as well, obviously. And if they like, wow, that's off the chart supportive. There's nothing you can't do. You guys are now unstoppable. And your kids, based on the
Yeah.
ages of your kids, you are a lot younger than us. I can't imagine where you're going to be when you're my age. And I'm happy for you. So good. That's awesome.
Well, happy and nervous, extremely nervous. I mean, this is a big jump. It was one thing when doing it part time, but you guys give enough material out there that we're looking forward to it. But again, thank you so much for your insight, and I'll probably be on more as we step into this more and be more
Yep.
active in all the other formats. So thank you very much again.
You're very
You're
welcome.
very
Thank
welcome.
you.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Thanks.
So I have a couple chats, and then I want to get to Aaron Revere here. So, hi, Matt. Matt, I'm trying to think of a good one. So Matt asked, can we share a good lesson learned in the land business, that looking back on it, was obvious and maybe even funny, like a good what not to do.
I
I
have
can think of
2.
non-land things. Go.
Number one, never put yourself in a situation where you have a single point of failure. My single point of failure was buying rural vacant land by the ton and auctioning it off on eBay. For years and years and years, I did that. This is long before I met Jill. And the economy dictated one day that nobody was buying land on eBay anymore, and it pretty much put pretty close to me for cheaper than I bought it. So don't have some better. Jack, too long to get a business partner that where we understood each other.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, so I think I don't know if we were both cutting out or just, but so the first one was the single point of failure, and we did fix that. So what Jack was saying, so back in the day, I came in at the very end of that. eBay was working so well for you. No one figured it out. I'm going to brag about you. Jack was the number one person in the eBay space for real estate. He got invited to the eBay, top tier conference. You met Meg Whitman, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just like you're an eBay celebrity, if you will, with not only the and it's kind of funny because I remember when I was first learning how to do this, I was throwing some stuff on eBay. We have accounts on eBay that have $20 million in, there's multiple accounts on there, but and so people I'd call eBay customer support, right? And I need a little help with something like, can you help me reverse this or repost this or whatever it is? I'm like, would you just look at my account, please? I'm not a brand new person. They're like, whoa, $20 million in sales on eBay. Yep. Now here's what I need kind of thing. So, but yeah, now that's why we teach what we teach in Land Academy, which is get it here, get it there, do this, do that. Nothing's crazy. Wherever you reach people and the more reach, the better. That's it. So that was great. And then your second one, oh, thank you on your second one on the partner part. Can you elaborate?
Yeah, the second, our staff is telling us that we're cutting out a little bit, but my second, it's not really a failure, but I'm the kind of person who needs to have a business partner. I just do better that way. And if you're going to get yourself a partner, get one who's got different talents than you do. Jill and I do seem to do really, really well buying and selling land together. I handle the data. She handles the people part of it. And, when we joined forces, the amount of money that we made that first year was by leaps and bounds, probably 10 times the amount of money that I ever made doing this on my own with the employees and stuff. So just get somebody who's in it with you and can support you and has different talents than you do.
Yes, we're really good at doing land together. We suck at renovating a primary residence together.
Recently, we did that, and I wasn't sure that our relationship was going to survive at certain points.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. Yep, totally. That was good. All right.
You know what I've never done, Matt? Matt's the one who asked this question.
Yeah,
bought a piece of land and sold it for substantially less.
Mm-hmm.
I've done small deals where we, a few $100s just to get out of it, or a few thousand, let's say, but I've never said, wow, I should have never done that deal. What a mistake that was.
Right. Exactly. Hey, Aaron's been up here. Hey, Aaron Revere, how are you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, great. I am new to using Clubhouse, so you'll pardon me. But it's so nice to talk to you guys because I have thrown out a few things on the Would You Do This Deal Thursday, and so that's the only way we've gotten to know each other until now.
Yay.
Good.
Awesome.
Yes. So I'm going to try and be quick. But I had kind of these questions. I do have some things are kind of finally clicking. I've got a property that hopefully will be in escrow any day now, and that's going to be a nice one for me. But I've got another one, actually one that I sent you guys on the Would You Do This Deal. It's kind of a commercial property, and it was an oddball. And I spoke to realtors, and I got mixed responses. Some of them telling me I was in contract for what it's worth. Other ones telling me I was looking forward to a 5x return, and so just all over the place. But the question now is, I hired or was going to hire someone to do a drone video, but my property is close to an airport. Now they have to get in touch with the FAA and get it all cleared away. Would you say it's better to list that property and just get even some basic photos of it on the MLS sooner than later, rather than waiting for this drone video? Or is the drone video going to be so magical it's worth waiting for?
I say the first one. Get it
Oh,
out
me
there.
too. I mean, just get it out there.
Yeah. Don't
Okay.
wait. You may sell before you have to do that too.
Maybe.
Uh-huh.
Okay. The other thing is, again, I'm trying to be quick. I've got a person who called back on one of our mailers. They called back with a landlocked property, and I called them and I said, I'll get back to you after a nice conversation. They've completely fallen on the back burner. I now finally got back to it, probably a month later, and now I'm looking at it, and I think I can solve pretty painlessly. I think I can solve the access issue. There is a legal and deeded easement, and could be a great property. I called this person yesterday, left a voicemail. How soon do I call back without seeming too desperate and tipping them off to the fact that now I would love to buy their property at their price?
Well, I think this is like dating a girl. Whatever.
Exactly.
You don't want to seem too anxious, but you want to make sure that they know you're there.
So would you say 3 days?
I don't know, Jill. You're better at this than me.
I'm sorry, I was reading a question here. How many? Give me the situation again, real quick, Aaron.
Just in short, I just called back a seller. I left them a voicemail yesterday.
Okay.
How soon is too soon to call them back and look desperate if I call them back too soon?
I
How
think a
soon should
day's
I wait?
fine.
A
Oh, I
day's
think a
fine.
day's okay. But I always do two. I always do two things too, because especially if they're elderly, who knows how often they check their voicemail and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do they even know how it works?
Mm-hmm.
So when I do stuff like this, I leave a voicemail and then I also follow up with an email saying, "I just left you a voicemail on this
Right.
number," making sure
Mm-hmm.
the number that's correct too. I'd love to talk to you about this property, and then let them come back. And then, so then I did that. And then I think another day, one more back to you, one more try, and then maybe go a couple more days and do it again.
Okay. Um, Again, with the rapid fire questions, do you feel that it's better to send out a mailer with a higher offer price to try and get a higher response rate, and then have to deal with, kind of lowering those prices and saying to the seller, well, I don't know, it doesn't have electricity, it doesn't have a well, blah, 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 trying to lower that price, which they're obviously not going to love? Or is it better to start with a lower price, keeping in mind you'll get a lower response, but like you said the other day, Jill, you can always go higher? I'm just worried that, yes, you can go higher, but if no one's calling back, there's no one to go higher with because the response rate is too low. Which way do you feel, if you had to pick, is the better way to go?
Lower.
Go
Me
lower.
too.
So much
Just
easier.
go lower, huh?
Yeah, you
Here's
don't want to
why.
be that guy. It's so hard.
Mm-hmm. It is. I have been trying.
Uh-huh.
The people
Let me
that you're
hear it,
going to
Jen.
buy real estate from are in a life situation, and
Mm-hmm.
Right.
price is secondary.
Mm-hmm.
And
Uh-huh.
so you want to make sure that, almost in all cases, almost always, price is not an issue for the deals that we
Mm-hmm.
do.
Mm-hmm.
They have more questions about how to get the deal done. Where should I send it?
Are you
How do you want me
real?
to sign it? And
Right.
so in every case, I'm like, wow, we could have probably bought that for a lot less. So yeah, if you start to talk about price with the seller in a pretty material way, chances are they know you're not going to buy the property.
Right. They're just right. They're not really my clientele, so to speak.
Yeah.
Exactly. But there, and then, and don't be afraid of some of these negative things.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't hurt to try them. Like I've got a
Oh,
guy, I mean, I
I
have
agree.
several right now that said, yeah, make it this much an acre and we'll talk. And so I reply, all right, let me see what I can do here. And then they're like, oh, wait a minute, she's real and this is
Right.
serious. Yeah, I really
For
am.
sure.
And then I call them back and like, then I didn't say I didn't have their phone number. I got a guy right now. This is the guy in England I'm going to talk to tomorrow. So I didn't have his phone number. It was like, yeah, jump in a lake. This is what I want. I'm like, all right, give me 48 hours. I need to look this up. And where can I reach you? And he writes right back, I'm in England. Here is my phone number. And now we're setting up a time to talk. And we've looked it all over. Now I have a new number that's not exactly his number, but
Mm-hmm.
we have a conversation going now, a dialogue, and I can really talk to him and say, okay, I hear you. Here's what I can do. I can come up from that. Here are my reasons why. This is the best I can do. And
Mm-hmm.
then let's see what happens and watch. You'd be surprised how many of those, you get a deal out of it.
Nice. Yeah, for sure. The deal I have right now that's now listed, and I've got 3 calls on it in a day, people wanting to buy it. Um, it was a deal where the seller came back to me and I had offered 42, and he said, nope, I'm only doing it at 50. And we negotiated back and forth. And ultimately I said, I'll do it at 50, but I want a long escrow. And he said, fine. And then I looked at later, I thought to myself, I didn't realize there was a comp across the street, same acreage. I signed the contract for 50 as a comp across the street for 285,000.
Did you
And
say now I want a short
and
escrow
now
for
I'm like,
closing
now I don't,
tomorrow?
now I'm like, why did I waste my time? Who cares about the $8,000?
Yeah.
I could have lost the deal over that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That comp is probably that guy reaching, but it doesn't matter. It's still a good one. That England guy, by the way, Jill, did you mail England, or no? I know normally
Nope.
Jack is like, don't bother, just
Mm-mm.
mail the U.S.
No, he must have I don't know why he's there, if he works part-time or whatever. I don't know the story, but he's in England right now. But we
Nice,
mailed you a US address. So yeah.
nice. Very cool. Well, Jack, I'm a dated geek like you.
Mhm.
And so that's, I think, why, frankly, I identified so well with, like, when I first heard you guys on Kevin Bupp's podcast, like, I don't know, 6 months ago. That's where I found you guys. And I've been on board ever since. So when's I know
Cool.
you have House Academy. I got to jump on that. When's Car Academy coming out?
As soon as we can secure a data source, the
Nice.
law says you can't use DMV data
You
for
you
any
told me that actually once. We
solicitation.
discussed that once on Discord. I
Yeah.
thought that was so interesting.
So yeah, we're turning now to insurance type driven data,
Data.
and like Jill's
Service.
talking to Experian actually,
Yeah,
because
Wow.
they've got a good data product. So that's the only thing that's holding it up. The site's done. The whole thing's completely done.
Oh,
All of it.
wow.
Yeah, if you
Look
go to
at you.
caracademy.com, it's kind of there. We can't
I'm gonna
use it
look at
yet.
it now. Is it gonna be Car Academy for like what you guys like to do, which is like those nice classic cars? We're dealing with like 1950 Cadillacs, or is it like for 2018 Honda Odyssey minivans?
Whatever you want.
I think it's
Whatever
a
you want.
Honda Odyssey. Whatever you can make $5,000 on, and we'll do a program on it too. It really
Mm-hmm.
sings to people. It sings to me too. I don't usually like to touch or hold what I sell,
Right.
but this could work for the right
That's good.
personality.
Right. That's very cool. Very cool. Okay, I'm gonna pass the mic. Thank you guys so
Oh,
much.
you're
This was fun.
welcome. Thank you,
Thanks,
Aaron.
Aaron.
I'm gonna jump into a couple questions, and I'm gonna jump back here with I think Zola was next. So Michael, this is kind of out of our world, but I'm gonna read it. Jack, if you want to point Michael in the right direction. Michael C said, if you do an assignment on a contract, do you need to pay capital gains taxes on your assignment fee?
Well, sure, you're going to be taxed on that as if it's ordinary income. I'm very confident that you would not be liable for capital gains, but please make sure. The problem with me giving tax advice and not accounting advice is that all my information is 15 plus years old, because tax laws change all the time. And the last time I've really been directly involved in taxes was probably 15 years ago. I just know the basics, but so please confirm.
Well, thank you. So, and Nick, let me get a couple here and then we'll jump back to Zola. Nick said, hi, Nick Skinner. I scraped Zillow to price my mailer. Should I be using median or mean to determine price per acre? Median seems more accurate, but it's typically lower than mean, and I'm afraid to underprice it. How do you go about it, Stephen?
If you have the luxury of a good solid data set, meaning more data entries are better, like more sales and for sale property line items are better, I would use the median. I agree with you. The lower one's the better. But I've got arguments to both. Jill and I do a class called Career Path, which is packed full of pretty bright people that are making some dough. And this is a hot topic because if you ask 10 people in a room, 5 will say median, 5 will say mean. So, but I agree with you.
Mm-hmm. And I have a last little thing. Hunter Bale, she said, whenever I see in Discord that Jill, when I see Jill in the Discord partner channel looking for a data guy, we can assume that she and Jack have been renovating. Yeah, that's good, Hunter. I could have posted something in there this week. I'm just kidding. That's so funny. I love it. All right, so we have Zola. I think you're up here next. How are you, Zola?
Hey, doing well. How are you, Jill?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, so thanks for having me. Uh, Jack, Jill, I don't know if you guys remember, but I've been part of Land Academy for a little while now, maybe coming up on 2 or 3 years. And so
Right.
my my thing that I want to talk to you about today is twofold. The first is I wanted to give you guys a quick success story, and then the second was regarding some career advice slash encouragement, if you will. So, all right. So let me get to the success story. It's actually kind of a funny story. Um, Probably about a year and a half, maybe even 2 years ago, um, my wife and I, we were debating one of our first deals that we were trying to acquire for a land um, right outside of DC. Um, there were some issues with the land not perking and this and that, and we were just, stressing out about it and quite a bit. And then um, the neighbors and like there's a lot of people that had opinions on it, and I remember I asked you guys about it, and Steve's response for it was, well, oh, hold on, let me before it give the Steve the response
Can't
for it.
wait.
um,
Oh my
I was going
God.
to pay the guy 30 grand for 2 acres, right?
Okay.
And because it's probably retails about 100 grand.
Mm.
I was going to pay him 30 grand, and we were all ready. And then we find out about the perk issue. And then Steve's like, just offer the guy 5 grand. And we're like, what? What? No,
Yeah.
we can't do that. No, 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 no. We debated going back and forth and blah, blah, blah. Me and my wife.
Who's
And
gonna
then
call him?
eventually,
I'm not calling him. You
yeah,
call him. Like,
exactly. 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 So, after one drink, I worked up the courage a couple days later, and I called the guy and I was like, "Hey, listen, I'm sorry, but it's probably not going to work out. Blah blah blah. But if you still want to sell it, I'll offer you 5 grand. Take it or leave it kind of deal." And the guy sat there for a minute because I gave him a bit of a silence period,
yep.
and then he was like, "Okay, I'll buy it. I'll sell it to me." And I
yes.
was like,
Yes.
"Holy cow! I can't believe that worked."
Yep.
And then from then on, it was like a running inside joke between me and my wife of, "Oh, just do what Steve does. Just offer him
Right.
5 grand." And oh, it was hilarious. And then that same deal, 6 hours after we closed it, I called a neighbor. The guy didn't even care about the perking issue.
Yep.
He bought it for 50 grand. Now, I left it I I left a lot of money on the table, right? I could have
oh,
probably sold it for like 80 or whatever, but my wife was just hitting me across the head saying, "Don't be so greedy, just sell it and get it done." We bought it for 5 grand. Stop being so greedy. And
right.
it was a great transaction.
I'm so glad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jill
Isn't
calls
that
that
great?
Jill calls that try to kill your own deal.
Yeah.
She has a phrase
Yes.
for it.
That's what you
Yes.
did. You said, "Look, for 5 grand, I'll do it," kind of thing. And that was awesome. You did the pause, 1,000, 1,000. What's an
Yeah.
answer? It's hard.
Yeah. There was
hmm
definitely that awkward silence there right after I offered it. So,
hmm
and I still am surprised. I still use that technique every now and then, where
Yeah.
if there's an issue with a property, and you're right, Jack. Like a lot of times, it doesn't come out to the price is the main factor of whether a seller will sell or not.
Yep.
Okay,
Very
so
true.
second part of my question. Um, I've been doing this for, like I said, a couple of years now with my wife, and I work in the Big Four still currently. Um, as I work for Deloitte in the consulting division, and I've been working there for probably like 5 or 6 years now. I've enjoyed it. It's actually it's a lot of hours,
hmm
and so um, one thing that I've realized is that I'm definitely not in the boat of wanting to become a partner in there. One of the things that I've noticed that the regrets, if you will, from some of the partners that I've spoken with is that they regret not having more time for their family and this and that, and I just don't want to be in there. And so, but on the flip side, it's addicting, that 2 week paycheck, with the benefits and everything else. And so, and just to give you a little bit more context, we're probably doing about, 500,000 in revenue now. And the problem is I'm just not consistent with it. And so I think like I'm just at that point where I just need to bite the bullet and do it. And I think, I could get well above, 1 million, maybe two. I don't know. What thoughts of wisdom or that you guys would have on that topic?
So I can really identify with your story because I'm a partner at KPMG and I told him to go pound sand for the exact same reason. I was doing buying and selling land on the side the entire time. But unlike you, I certainly wasn't at $500,000. Here's my recommendation. And I understand you're wanting to leave. I would, and Joe's may or may not agree with me, hire a full-time person. Even if it's somebody that you know really well that can work out of your house during the daytime, and have them for you consistently send out mail. Because that last piece to this, I completely agree with what you're saying, is consistency and that worry. If you are consistently sending out 50,000 offers a month, very consistently, that will remove the inconsistency in your concern. You will at some point just realize that, this is my job's costing me money. You did everything right. Jill and I are famous for saying, don't quit your job. Don't quit our jobs. I quit my 2 years too late, and just at least a year late. And then my final comment is make sure you have a tremendous amount of money in the bank before you go do this, just in case something happens. But the good news for you is that if it didn't work, Deloitte would probably hire you back, or you can jump ship to the other three. You're very, very employable.
True. Yeah, there's a good amount of boomerang population, is what they call it, for people that return back to it. And it's just that mentality is just so hard for me to stop thinking it that way because, and frankly, even though I'm making more money with my land business than my salary, it's just that cliff is still just scary for me, I guess is kind of what I'm getting at. But I like that suggestion, though, of maybe getting somebody and hiring somebody to send out that consistent mailer, because that's I know that's the biggest issue for me right now, is just not being consistent.
You're a really logical candidate for a career path. I don't, career path is packed full of people that are making $500,000 and there to find out how to make 10 million instead. And so if you've got time for that, I don't know when it starts, in October, I think. Just consider that.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Good stuff.
That was great advice, Jack.
Super successful people today, Joe.
I know. No, and I love what you said. I mean, I'm a fan too. Zola's right there. I know that feeling. And I'd rather you hang out until you're like, doggone it, I should have done it back then. Then you're good. If you just stay in there a little bit longer, I want, you're probably the 4 a.m. club because you're up early looking at properties and you're up late doing properties, doing stuff, but that's okay. When you get that person in there, that'll solve it. And yeah, having that money in the bank, when you can look at your bank balance and go, well, man, if it all goes sideways, we can live for a year on this. If we can't, we got a problem, sweetheart, kind of thing. Then you're good too. So that's really, really great. I would like to take some credit here, by the way, for us. I'm loving the number of couples. I love this. I don't know that we, I don't know how it happens, but we have so many awesome, stellar, husband and wife, partnerships here that make it work. And boy, I'd love to talk to you guys off the air sometimes about how you guys deal with stuff. Just kidding. Kinda. Anyway, but that's stuff that we Land Academy ladies, we talk about things going on when our some of it's husband-wife teams in Land Academy ladies, and some of it's just female investors. So speaking of which, you are doing this on your own in this room. Know that we have a room for you. In Land Academy, there are a lot of female investors, and we can sure talk. So good stuff. Well, getting close to the end here. I'm trying to think. I had Brandon, but he dropped off, so I guess he had to go. We're going to get right here in a little bit for an hour from now. Our Thursday member call. Some of you may have heard, like, what do you guys talk about the what do you mean? Well, we have a regular Thursday Zoom webinar, if you will. Jack and I are on camera, and we screenshot. We communicate. Everybody puts in questions. We laugh. We tell stories. We look at properties, but in a closed environment to really look at the and look at the county and do screen sharing. You know, like here's why I like it, and this is what makes me nervous. See this one over here, and here's why. All that good stuff. So if you're not an NCAM member and you want a one-time invite, we would love to have you. Just at landacademy.com, and you could even be on the call today. My team will grab that and get you in there if you want to do that. And then Nick had a question too, Jack. He's thinking about 5,000 offers all at once or spread them out to keep up with the calls. For me, it depends on how much time you have. I'd say, I personally, and one person, a full-time person, Nick, we could handle. So we did 12,000 divided by 6. So 6,000 a person can handle, a full-time person. So if you can answer the phone, you could do the 5,000. Because more is always better when you have deals.
Yep. I totally agree.
That's the thing. I don't want you to have to wait to see what comes in next week, and then the next week, and then the next week. And when you're like, well, I got 2 kind of deal. I don't know about these. I want you to have 10, and there's going to be 2 or 3 ones you're like, oh, these are the ones we're buying. I got that. So cool. This has been fun. Do you have anything you want to add, Jack, before I wrap this up?
Nope. Good work.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for my team for helping out. This is really taken off. You're right. I love this. Jack wasn't so sure with this what's Clubhouse thing, and now he likes Clubhouse with me. Right?
Right. Yes, you're always right about these things.
Oh, thanks. Good. Make sure you follow us. Follow anybody in the room, by the way, too. There's so many, here in this room on stage right now. Follow, chat, communicate. There's enough property to go around. That we're all about spreading it out and everybody doing great deals, and we're just to help. So thank you very much, and I will. For those of you on Thursday call, I'll see you guys in an hour.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.